What's up, Homo sapiens? How you guys doing? It's been a minute. It's always been a minute, I guess. Trying to keep these vlogs flowing has been a bit difficult. As things move forward, things just happen so quickly that by the time I want to record something, things have changed. So it's difficult to keep it really up to date, unless I'm doing this on a day-to-day basis. But nonetheless, lots of cool things happening. Pre-production version of our G-Code FS1 is now in production. This frame is arriving in the next couple of days. I'm super excited. Got a whole bunch of guys that are also super excited. Whole bunch of flywheel gear coming through as well, motors, flight controllers, 4-in-1 ESCs to pair up with the G-Code FS1. So we're so amped about that. But I thought for this vid, I'm going to pop into a little bit more detail on the pre-production prototype. It's a vid I recorded a little while ago. It's a vid that was just shared between the group of guys that are involved. But I thought I'd share it with the public. You guys can have a look at what sort of changed on the frame since it's an original carbon prototype. And yeah, be sure to check out Ruthless FPV as well. He's just put out a video. A link is in the description. A video about the assembly of the current carbon prototype, and it gives you a nice little in-depth look into what the G-Code FS1 is about. Super stoked, super amped to get this out to you guys. And yeah, the much promised tutorial series, that's now in the pipeline as well. I'm pretty excited to get that out to you guys too. And yeah, I'm going to try and get as much updates as I can through to you guys. It's again, as I said, it can be quite tough getting all the stuff out in time and keeping up to date with everything that's going. But lots happening this side, lots of 3D printing going on, getting all the stuff ready for the pre-production frames, which we hope are here in the next few days. Just holding thumbs that they're actually going to be here. And then get onto some flying. I'm so excited about that. Get onto some marketing, getting the frames out, getting guys to test, and just pushing this journey forward. That's what it's all about. Just going to go through quickly what has changed into our, what do we want to call our pre-production prototype. Pre-production being the first few frames we're just going to bring in just to check quality and check new design. Then we'll move on to pre-release where we'll make a whole bunch of these available for people to buy, test, do whatever they want to do. And that's just before what we'll do when we do a proper release in terms of actually putting the frame up for sale to the public. Just going to have a look at this. Big thing with the current prototype, and this is the prototype that we're all running at the moment, was the space inside here. The space inside here was super limited. You'll see this has even been dremeled here to try and accommodate the space. I'm just going to look at the bottom subframe for now, and we'll look at the rest of the changes as well. So yeah, big issue here was where your battery cable or your battery leads connect to the ESC. It was a big issue. As you can see here, the space here was so tight. I mean, you can barely get it in there. I damaged this ESC. I pulled the pads off, so I've actually had to solder the battery leads to the other side of the ESC. So it made it even worse. So this is literally almost stuck and scraping and rubbing against carbon here. So that was a big one. Another one was the arm profiles. Those have changed quite a lot as well, just within here. And I think what I'm going to do is just pull out the printed pre-production of the base plate, and I'll show you what's changed. So a big thing was making sure that these arms are incredibly secure. So going a little bit more than just a screw here on the top, or should I say 2 screws, 1, 2. Just wanted to add a little bit more beef there. These obviously come through to a press nut, and that's what actually holds the first part of the arm actually in. So a big issue, I'm just going to prop here and you guys can see it, is with our top plate, our top pod, which is this, which actually sits on top of the frame with bolts going through. Putting a lot of stress here, a hell of a lot of stress. In a front impact, this actually comes out and puts so much stress on this point here. That was it still is a big issue for me. I'm worried about what this is sort of going to do, because you can have a look here. This is actually starting to, you can actually see the carbon starting to warp and delaminate here, where these press nuts are sitting in. So there's a lot of play and whatever else that's happening here. It's not 100%. It's not working lacquer. So what I've tried to alleviate on that is by helping these arms lock into place. But unfortunately they're not locking at the moment. Because if you look at a hinge, that's where the arm will actually turn out, and it's actually behind where this thing needs to lock, so it's always going to do that. In the reverse, no problem, it's not going to go anywhere. And in an impact, it's going to go like that, and it's going to put so much pressure on this joint here. So our option there, I've always wanted the arms to be interchangeable, 1, 2, 3, 4. You can use arms on any side. The only way we can actually fix this here is to make them interlock, which means you'll have left and right arms. And I'll put an interlocking mechanism here that's going to make the locking points just lock, so the arms won't move. They'll stay in place, which is going to help save this joint quite a bit. So that's a decision we need to make. Do we want to have arms that are universal, which means these points here are going to wear out. I'm going to show you now. I have reinforced this a shitload to make sure that it doesn't actually do that. But the only thing we can do is to make these arms different, and I'll work on an interlocking design here so they can't bend in or out. That's probably the best way we can actually do it. I'm not actually sure. We're gonna have to just make a call. It's a little bit of a compromise. Either we have arms that are all the same, which compromises this joint, or we have arms that are different, and people will have to buy left and right arms, which is something I've always wanted to avoid from the beginning, but I don't think we're going to get it right. I want to try and save these. Another point on these here was obviously the screws. Just want to grab the old frame. So we have the top plates, or the top pod, coming on like this. Just like that. And that sort of clips into place. Let's try and get some focus here. We've got these 4 aluminium spacers that are stopping this 3D print from squishing down too much. And what happens then, it pushes this way down, way down, and you can't get access to your USB. It also pulls your battery strap too close to your flight controller, etc. So this was a bit of an issue. I think the design to start, what Gareth Bodley said, was to obviously put the screws right through, which is what we're actually doing. We've got these long 22 millimeter screws that go all the way through. Obviously we've got a top plate on here, but I'm not going to put that on right now. These go all the way through, let's see there, and pop out the bottom here with some press nuts on the bottom, which works, it really does. But unfortunately the 3D print starts to deteriorate a hell of a lot, and we're not getting enough squish, if you want to know. It's actually squishing too much, should I say, and this is sort of sitting a bit loose. The problem being as well, as much as we tighten these the bolts up at the top, we're still going to get this play on the arms, because yes, it is the screws in M3 and the holes are 3 mils, but over time they start to wear out, and then you start to get this play on the front arms, which is just no good. We can't have that, unfortunately. So our big option here, like I said, is to interlock these two front arms, the arms at the front and the back, so they don't move around, to save this joint. In any case, I have updated the design to try and incorporate this thing a little bit better, so we're not using these long screws all the way through, because that's a little bit of a mission as well. So I'm just going to stick this in here. So if you guys can see there, we're going to have aluminium. There we go. We're going to have, that's plastic now, I'm just showing it as an example, but we're going to have an aluminium standoff there, and we're going to have a screw from the other side screwing into that standoff. So you can tighten this, you can tighten these two things super tight. It's going to hold those arms nicely. Then your top part is just literally going to slip over the standoff, and you're going to screw it from the top as well. So there's 2 screws either side. That's sort of where we're sitting at the moment in terms of what's been modified on the base plate. I don't have a spare ESC here. I just want to show you how much more space we've got in here, just so you guys can see out of interest. Let's get that. A lot more space going on inside here for electronics, which is super important. Comparing it to this, that is really tight. Really tight, and that's going to compromise components. I haven't had any issues yet, let's be honest. I really haven't busted any components yet inside the frame, but it's just to allow a little bit more ease of use for people. So I've shown you guys the solutions now on the bottom subframe. A lot more space, as I was saying. And also we've got these holes here, 1, 2. That's actually for a zip tie. It's going to secure your battery lead. It's going to be sitting out here, so it's actually going to zip right around, and which is going to make our lives a shitload more easier. Also updated the spacings on the screws. They were at 30 by 30. It's actually 30.5 by 30.5. That's been sorted as well. So yeah. Arm profiles, not much has really changed on the arms. Still nice and thick, nice and strong. I haven't changed any of that. All I have done here is added a small notch on the arm profile. That's just going to help just route some ESC wires, which helps too. So that's on that, guys. Obviously a big issue on the previous prototype, and of course we all know this was a prototype, that's why we tested it, but it was getting access to USB and getting a battery cable through there and not touching your flight controller on the side parts here. So I've come up with a solution, and hopefully the solution is going to work. I've still got to test it when I assemble this. And these are the new side plates now. So what we've got a battery strap, and I've also placed that battery strap a little bit further back, because that was another point on this, was our battery, the areas for our battery straps here and here were a little bit too far apart. It wasn't holding the battery correctly. So quite a nice solution was just to add 2 slots for the battery, and then below here is going to be a slot for USB access. I don't think we're going to get USB access right for every single flight controller. It also depends on your stack height, but where this is sitting at the moment, I believe is going to be a good solution, and a good average solution to make sure that we can access our FC without taking the top plate off. Even if you wanted to take the top plate off, I mean, it's literally 4 screws and off it comes to get USB access. But I think it's going to be a big bugbear for some people, because people are quite finicky with these types of things. But yeah, our USB access is going to go through there. Another one on this, we're running 30-degree camera angle now instead of 25 as standard. So we've got a standard 30 degree here, where you can attach a GoPro just with a battery strap, which is really nice. Just on the back here, a lot more venting for the rear pod, where the VTX sits, which is quite nice as well. And yeah, guys, I think that's pretty much on the top plate side of things. In terms of the width of the frame, we were sitting quite thin at about, on the original prototype, I think we were sitting at about 37 millimeters wide, which was just way too thin. It really was quite tight, putting the side plates that are running almost over the ESC pads. That's a little bit different now. The quad is 2 or 3 millimeters wider, which really helps. You'll see in the previous print of this, we were up to about 40 millimeters wide, and unfortunately that just changed the whole look of the frame. It really looked bulky, looked like a bit of a tubby bitch. Didn't really enjoy that. So I brought it in again to where we are now with the update to the prototype, where we widened the 3D prints and widened the side frames. It made life so much, just that little bit easier to fit your wiring and all that kind of stuff into here, just give you a little bit more space. If guys want to go even wider, we can just actually provide spaces that'll go on the side of the 3D prints and just widen it. Quite a simple solution, but we're going to start sort of at its lowest, which is about 38 millimeters wide, 38.5. So yeah, guys, there we have it, looking at the bottom structure of the pre-production prototype. We're using washered fasteners now, going through to the press nuts, and I actually don't have enough of these, but we're going to have one on the bottom here, going through to this new standoff. And that, as a modular sort of system with the standoffs and everything else, means we can actually change whatever different top parts we want to put on, and that's kind of the point behind G-code, is being able to make it interchangeable. But yeah, top plates is the new side plate is really exciting. Once I do this demo assembly today, just check where the flight controller is and see where the USB sits and whatever else. I think we've got a solution here, which is quite exciting. So yeah guys, I think that's sort of where it is. Doesn't seem like a lot has changed, but I'll tell you what, it's been many design iterations and trying to get this right from the previous, or the original carbon prototype. I haven't had any issues with the original carbon prototype. It's really been good to fly, but there's a couple of bugbears that I didn't enjoy. Originally these were just 3D prints. There were no metal spaces in here. It was just basically relying on the 3D printed structure here with the screw through, and that was impossible because the tighter you made the screw, the more it squashed the 3D print, and then it just squashed the whole frame. So yeah, Leon, he had the idea of putting these aluminium spaces in there, which has worked. It really has. It really has worked. But I need to incorporate the space onto the base plates like we have in a standoff format, so we can strengthen this joint. This joint needs to be as strong as humanly possible, and then I'll look to interlock the arms. But I think for now, I'm going to leave this as is. I'm not going to interlock them just yet. I'm going to bring in the pre-production prototype, just a couple of frames. I'm going to test this and see how much wear and tear this goes through. And if it's a disaster, then we're going to interlock the arms, which means we'll lose all the arms being interchangeable. There'll be a left and a right. Frame's pretty much the same, and dimension-wise, it's still pretty much what it was before. Nice and compact. Just a lot of new thoughts and ideas going into how this thing actually works. That's another one as well. On the previous frame, with our top plate on, or our top pod, these, you can barely see them right now, but these screws, we can never get these screws in here. They were bumping into the arms and that kind of stuff, so that whole profile has totally changed on the front pod. So you can put that screw, and the screw's moved completely. It's now towards the back somewhere. So you can get this freely on and off without worrying about these screws. That was an issue as well. Sweet guys, I think that's about where we're at.